What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you hit the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest on boxing. Now I'm on WBC champion Tony Bellew, his official page. I did a post-fight video, but he knocked out BJ Flores, cruiserweight, in Liverpool, and it was a good performance, dominant performance, multiple knockdowns, and he retains his WBC title. Again, for that post-fight breakdown, check out the video on my channel. And him and David Haye have been going out of it. He even leaped out through the ropes like he did like WWE suicide dive, and he was doing all this. He was talking about David Haye. He did a call out. I talked about that in my post-fight commentary. He said something to the effect of, I want to knock you out, you and that silly ass haircut that you have. And I got to admit, when this fight was first like discussed, I was like, man, David Haye, he's too big to me, because we have to keep in mind this is a guy that got stopped by Adonis Stevenson at light heavyweight. But since that time, he's resurrected himself. His power looks to be more dominant and more assertive at this higher weight division. So I'm kind of rocking with the fight. I actually like it now. But initially when it was proposed, I wasn't really a big fan, because I was like, okay, it could be cool, but I just thought David Haye was too big. However, Bellew just did an interview, I think it was on IFL TV, and he was referring to what happened when he sparred. He says he just beat an amateur. He was still an amateur, and he said he sparred with David Haye and he knocked him down to one knee. And he also said David Price was piecing up David Haye as well, right? He said David Price made him do a 360 and spun him around, and according to him, it sounds like they were doing some tag team demolishing him in sparring session, like the Legion of Doom, Animal and Hawk. Rush. For all my WWF/WWE wrestling fans. But that's what he makes it sound like him and David Price were just going ham on him, tag team style. And I gotta admit, he sold me on the fight. Make it happen. Eddie Hearn says he thinks this bout could happen. He represents Bellew. He thinks it can happen in March 2017. And if he's that confident, and he's saying in sparring, and see, this is the thing I like about what Bellew said in the interview, is when people just talk and it just sounds too reckless, then I'm like, I don't know what to believe that. But the reason that it kind of makes me believe this David Price and him story in sparring is because he was realistic. He said it happened when I was an amateur, and this was several years ago. So that's not really an indication of where he's at or where I'm at now. I'm just telling you what happened. I'm telling you the facts. So when people speak realistic, it makes it a bit more believable, because sometimes people are like, oh, I beat his ass and it was easy work, and that's why you start like hooting and hollering, and it makes it less believable. But the fact that he admitted that it's not an indication of what would happen now per se, that makes it sound like this story could actually be true. And at the time, David Price, if it was when Bellew was an amateur, that was when David Price was probably undefeated, and before the Tony Thompson loss and the Erkan Tepper and stuff like that. So certainly possible. I wasn't there in sparring, so I can't tell you what happened. Now, I've been a longtime fan of David Haye, but I have to admit, for the last few years, I've been disappointed. He was scheduled to fight against Tyson Fury, and that fight fell apart. He pulled out and ended up going into retirement for a few years. Then he came back. He fought, it looked like one of the Backstreet Boys who'd been in the gym. I don't even know their names, to be honest. Michael Moriarty or something like that. And he knocked them out. Good crowds, electric crowds. He's pulling out, he's still pulling out crowds, but at the same time, he hasn't fought any good competition. He fought a guy with Arnold Grajcki or something, like Greg. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. It's like GRJ. And I've been disappointed with his opponent selection. I mean, since that time, he's definitely picked up some size. He's big, so I don't know exactly what weight the Tony Bellew fight would happen. But I want to see something. I want to see Bellew and Haye, or Haye in there at least with somebody with some type of notoriety or name. Cannon Briggs has been calling him out pretty much daily, and we don't see nothing. He said, oh, I'll fight Cannon Briggs, fight on my undercard, and then Cannon Briggs did what you said, what you asked. And now I seen a recent interview where David Haye said that, nah, it's still not gonna happen. Cannon Briggs gotta wait. So why'd you basically lie to him and say fight on my undercard and it's cracking? You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that doesn't make sense. And I just want to see more action from David Haye at this point. You know what I mean? You got this man, Cannon Briggs, calling you out, Tony Bellew, and they're all talking a gang of trash about you. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see a good fight. And I don't even know. It depends on what fight we're talking about. But David Haye can certainly win some of these fights. But look, boycott David Haye. Look at him. Look at his hair. David the Bozo Haye. You turned down big money and title shot, which lets me know you ain't about this boxing life. You trying to trick the people, but I'm the people's champ. Let's go, champ. So you can bet your stinking ass that I'm going to retire you for good. The great people of Great Britain are sick of you. They telling me, hashtag let's go, champ. Right? So I want to see something from David Haye. Fight a big name. He said a lot that he wants to beat up on Cannon Briggs, and when the time's right, he says a jab will knock out Bellew. Bellew said he'll knock out you. You know what I'm saying? And I smashed you to pieces. But I mean, you letting people violate at this point. Like, I mean, a camel toe picture, really, bruh? Like, I don't know. I just want to see this from David Haye. Like, this should be fuel right now. And like I said, I'm a longtime David Haye fan, but these people like Cannon Briggs and Tony Bellew, namely, Haye-Tex instead of Playtex tampons. Like, I just want to see something. You can't just let them ride on you like that. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens next, but I'm okay with the Bellew fight. I'm okay with the Cannon Briggs fight. I heard David Haye might come back next year, or actually in December. I heard he might come back in December, so we'll see. I just want to see something big from David Haye, because this is not cutting it. Like, people riding on you and Bellew saying he smashed you to pieces and he's going to knock you out with 10-ounce gloves. I just want to see. David Haye was not known for backing down. Like, he literally punched Derek Chisora or somebody in his entourage in the throat, right? So I just want to see that hunger. I want to see this resurrect David Haye of old, when he was fighting that 7-foot Andre the Giant looking motherfucker. Like, that's what I want to see. So hopefully this fuels David Haye to come back and fight a big name. Let me know what you think of Bellew's claims that he smashed David Haye to pieces. It's sparring, you know what I mean? Things happened years ago. That's not an indication of anything. I used this example before, but they said Canelo was knocking out sparring partners and breaking people's nose, and then that was for the Mayweather training camp, and then he clearly lost. So sparring doesn't necessarily equate to a victory, especially years ago. Kell Brook and Amir Khan, they both have spats and different accounts of what happened, but it's really about where they're at now, what's transpired in their pro career. I'm just saying, as a boxing reporter and fan, I want to see that, and I want to see David Haye in a fight that actually means something, or the fans could be excited for. Let me know what you think of Bellew's claims. Also, Cannon Briggs calling him out. What do you want to see next from David Haye? It looks like we're getting Joshua Klitschko. The heavyweight division is back, and that's why there's so much pressure on fighters like David Haye to do something big, especially when you got people jumping down your throat, to get fights with you. Let me know what you think. Share your comments, drop them below. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next videos, Ego signing off.